So, I find myself very easily seeing past the black matrix today, September 7th, 10:20 a.m. But I still see people in it, and that's like difficult. So I'm walking the line still, and but mostly on the outside of it now. So now it's like feelings that could take me out of it would be feelings like noticing the others suffering and not having faith that they can get out of it, and which is only difficult when it's my loved ones. So that's interesting, but I do know they can find their way out. I found my way out. It's a lot easier to find your way out these days than it was when I started, and that is because a bunch of people like me did what we did. We pioneered this energy on Earth. We said, this is the energy that we're making space for, and we formed a grid around the Earth, and we all took all of our shadows into our hearts and began to love unconditionally. We remembered that that's what we are. And we grid this for the Earth to grab onto. And that we did that so that they could step out of the lack grid that they've been living in, and that we were living in. And we had to do it from within that grid. Basically, we've created a place on Earth where those who choose can join and live freely on Earth within a paradigm that is not built on lack, and there's not enough in competition. So it's hard for people because they don't understand. They don't understand that this is possible. They don't understand how you could just decide something new when they look around at all the evidence around them, and without realizing that we created that evidence by our own thoughts and beliefs and perceptions. And that's why it's there. It's there because of us. We have the power to change it. But if we feel a victim to it, if we feel empowered in victimhood to it, we may stay stuck. Fear is very real and strong when you're in it. When you realize what it is, that it's just an indication of something, and then you have trained yourself and planned ahead and know what you're going to do in the face of it, you can absolutely overcome and stay above it. You can observe it instead of being consumed by it. You should definitely pay attention to fears. Certainly if there's a fear, if you're in danger and your body's going to tell you and you're in fear, you don't want to be ignoring it. But a lot of these fears that we've been living in within the lack matrix are just there on the background. We have ignored them for so long because they were just a part of life. And that is what the behind the scenes beings wanted from us, to have us living in a constant state of low-level fear, because then we can't think clearly, then we can't create, then we can't break free, then we become divided because we think there's not enough. It's all part of the design to keep us down and to keep us limited, and to use us as their slaves for food. They feed off that energy. That energy is a way. That energy is a wound in us. A wound in us, and it's like they're vampires feeding off us, but they are in a dimension that we can't see. So these are just energies, as far as we're concerned, who have manipulated and created, and they're not within this veil. They're not working like we are with all of these senses. They're just working on an energetic level, so they kind of they're not limited like we are, or we had been, in this lack that they presented to us. They really took advantage of and manipulated us into this. And we became destructive, because any long-term abuse over a whole populace is going to cause some chaos. But chaos is the space of creation. So with this chaos, we can use it to our advantage. This is the time. They're kind of, they don't have any power anymore. It's breaking down. Like, it's not going to work for them anymore. And they know it. They already know it. That's why they're trying to make a ruckus on the way out, you know? So all we have to do is know what we want too, and know that it's possible. And that's very difficult because there's this cognitive dissonance where people have created coping mechanisms to survive Earth in. And in order to break through the coping mechanisms, those are filters on their life. It's not something you can do from the outside. It's something that they get inspired to from the inside by looking at other examples of people doing it. So that's why it's become important for people like me who are not willing to live in that paradigm anymore, to live more loudly, to live more freely, to live more without fear than ever before. You know, to not be scared anymore, to not hide anymore, to be this example of just not willing to play that anymore. It has been difficult. I am challenged, you know, like this is my family. I have family members who are still trying to relate in that old dynamic of power struggle. And they don't know how to relate in any other way. They don't even realize they're doing it yet. Even though I many times tried to tell them. And that caused issues. So I've learned, that's part of my training, was that I learned that you can't just tell somebody that they're in their own prison of the mind. You just can't. You can lay a breadcrumb trail for them. You can show them that there's another way. You know, some of them will be empowered in victimhood and go, well, that person can do that, but I can't. And that is their choice. And when they're ready, they'll traverse the fear that is holding that in place for them. But until then, you know, that's what it is. We're at this place where we're going to be living a new way. And right now, it's just up to each of us to choose which way we do want to live. Do we want to keep living the way we have been living in lack and not enough and competition and raping the earth of its resources and fighting against each other to get what we need to survive? Or do we want to step into this other way of living and realizing there is enough? We're very intelligent, caring, loving beings that can work together. And I hear people going, oh, but what about all the rapists and the murderers and all that? And it's like, we created that. We created a space where that could thrive by living in lack. Try for a moment to allow the knowing and understanding that there is a solution for that. You know, it's not going to look perfect at first because it's a transition period. It's a moving from one way of being to another. It's like we're not going to see the evidence first. We got to create the space for the evidence to show to us. Change on the inside, then the outside changes. It's as simple as that. But that is, you know, the trap that keeps us trapped. If we don't believe that, if we don't take a chance on that, if we don't take one step, if we are too scared and disempowered, we will stay in that lack because it's comfortable and familiar, and we will limit ourselves to living the way our ancestors lived. But that is not what we are all doing here right now. Actually, this is a glorious time to be on Earth because, you know, lots of souls wanted to be on Earth during this time. This is amazing, you know, we are evolving. We are evolving our consciousness while being in human bodies. We're experiencing this real time in a body, like a human body that is experiencing its freedom and empowerment. I gotta say, it feels really good. And, yeah, I'd like it for everybody. I'd like everybody to know how good it feels to realize you were wrong. How good it feels to have permission to make mistakes. How good it feels to know that we are one. How good it feels to know that there's a solution. How good it feels to know that no matter what comes, I can handle it. Even if it's a leftover thing from the lack matrix, even if it's something, you know, that I created in a way that I used to live, you know, if I have to clean up anything that comes there from the past, I will. I'm in a much better mindset and ability to do so. But that is something that has to happen. The things that we didn't deal with yet are our karma. And those are just patterns that we created, things that we perpetuated while living in that lack matrix, in that lack paradigm, and that misunderstanding about how it works. That illusion that we perpetuated and made real by our belief and involvement in it. We are being asked to look at those things that we did create and recreate them. Dissolve the things that are not working. Allow growth and learning from those things. Dissipate those energies. It's as simple as balancing out an energy. If you've thought one thing forever and you look at it, it's actually fear-based. All you got to do is turn it around. Find 3 reasons why it's not true. There will be some. There will be 3 reasons why it's not true. And challenge yourself to do so. These may be abstract reasons. You have to widen your mind. Just the idea of doing this is an expansion of consciousness. Because everything that's true, the opposite is true too. It's like, which side of the energy are you living on? You've seen people look at wealth or something. It's like you can be on this side of it or this side of it. And it's like, now you get to choose. And if you always thought you had to be on one side of it, how is it not true? Once you allow that energy to balance out within your field by taking the extreme that you thought and then looking at the other side of it, you're creating balance. And this zeroes it out. This clears your karma. This makes it so that it's not going to keep showing up in your reality. Because the energies that we have are creating our reality. So by balancing it out, we are able to step through it, seeing all sides of it. We go, oh, in some ways I'm lacking, in some ways I'm wealthy. It's like, great, we all have strengths and weaknesses. That's wonderful. Because it's a puzzle piece, we're all a puzzle piece, a piece of the puzzle. We all count. All of the strengths and all of the weaknesses we have are important, It's like a weakness is all it is your opportunity for growth. And you wouldn't want to not grow. You don't want to just be perfect, because that is not what Earth is about. It's about growth and learning. You would be bored. If you had already achieved everything you came here to achieve, you would be bored, and then you'd have nothing to do, and you would be done here. You're here to learn, so enjoy it. Right? That's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. It feels weird to be in this spot, to be honest. It's like, okay, I'm going to have to get stronger and better at allowing, my family members to be where they're at and not feel it's wrong and not want to try to save them. Because that pulls me back into lack. When from this other perspective, I do understand that they can get there. It's hard when you remember suffering and you remember what it feels like and how disempowering it feels to be in that pattern. And it's hard to be a mother and not want to rescue a child or a mother out of that. It's like, I know my loved one is suffering. But also, you know what? My loved one came here to be on Earth, the greatest time on Earth. And they are well prepared. They're very well prepared for what they came here to do, and they will do it. I know this. And I'm going to allow them the space to do so. Just like they have allowed me the space to do what I'm doing. It's not like they're trying to hold me back and saying, Julie, please stop being so crazy. No, they're just letting me go. Give a shit. So I need to at least give them that, in return. Yeah. And if I just, get past all that and get busy thriving, then I may be an example worthy of their attention. Maybe that would be the thing that makes them think twice. Who knows? But where they're at, where everybody's at, is totally perfect. And I'm not like expecting people to follow me or do what I do. I just want them to know that there's another way possible. There's something else that can go on here. And that is what our souls came to do at this time. So it feels important to spread the awareness of this possibility, of this reality, of this new way to live that is available to each of us who choose it, and that I choose to live in. And life is more fun. Life does feel better. Life is enjoyable, and my creation here in this space. Instant manifestation. It's like, be careful what you think. Be careful. Because it's coming for you. Yeah, some of the things, it's like, I can't wait. But then that's like attachment, right? And that's like not trusting that I have a process, and maybe I still have an energy stuck in me from the lack that is keeping that thing from coming right now. So I just gotta do what's in front of me and deal with the next step, you know? I'm being led here. I'm gonna keep being led, so I'm just gonna keep taking and doing what's in front of me. And celebrating how far I've come. Like, damn. I've shed a lot. I've freed myself from prison.